It's time, fellow Azerothians. It's time to go back. We have an official launch date for the World of Warcraft Classic servers. Even though it was launched 15 years ago, it is still the #1 massively multiplayer online RPG today. At its peak, it had 12 million active subscriptions. At the end of the second expansion, Wrath of the Lich King, over 100 million World of Warcraft accounts have been created. And that's a statistic from 5 years ago. It is the undisputed MMORPG champion. But let's face it, a lot of us got bored. RPGs are always a balance between sandbox and theme park. And World of Warcraft really went hard in the theme park direction. And for a lot of people, it lost that magic. And in those dark days, you may have thought all hope was lost.
You think you do, but you don't.
That Blizzard, now merged with Activision, had completely forgotten its roots. And even though subscription numbers were trending down on their live service, we all feared that they would just dig their heels in and not face the facts. That we, the community, wanted to go back. For some, it's the nostalgia. For others, it's a chance to go back and do it differently. Undo your mistakes the first time around. And for still more, they just think Battle for Azeroth sucks. Whatever your reason, 5 years on from that infamous quote, it is time. Those of us that want Classic have finally been vindicated, and it is almost here. And for me, the best part about Classic has nothing to do with veteran players or nostalgia. It's the fact that a whole new generation gets to experience it for the first time. To this day, vanilla World of Warcraft is still exemplary of what a great game should be.
Imprisoned for 10,000 years. Banished from my own homeland. And now you dare enter my realm. You are not prepared.
Remember when you had to spam cities and say, need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that because now you just push a button that says go to the dungeon.
Do you remember when you knew people back in the Burning Crusade days? When you met people adventuring? When you made friends? When you had a great run with that tank or with that healer? How important it was to make friends with them, to build a relationship because you did need a tank or you did need a healer. The game didn't have a magical button that just did it for you. The servers were vibrant landscapes of personalities. Villains that were greedy jerks. Heroes, always available to lend a helping hand. Maybe they were a raider, geared to the hilt, willing to drop into your heroic dungeon and give you just the extra boost you needed to defeat that last boss. And Illidan is right. You are not prepared. It is not a modern-day MMO that holds your hand all the way through. But that is what millions crave. Millions are looking for, and the reason millions want to go back. Back when you were a lowly adventurer, not an undefeatable god. Back when the denizens of Azeroth, the Outlands, and Northrend struck fear in your heart.
You are not prepared!
Well, prepared or not, you're probably excited. So here's a quick rundown of the schedule and things you can do to try to get involved in the beta testing. Now I will have a link to this website down in the description. It's even got a countdown clock on it, only 103 days away. The international launch times are listed on the website. And then the most important information follows, the testing schedule. Now, to be honest, if you didn't start World of Warcraft in vanilla, I recommend ignoring the testing. It's basically a big spoiler. You have the opportunity to start from ground zero with no knowledge, and I think that's the best way to experience it for the first time. For everyone else that's been there, you're probably chomping at the bit to try to get into testing. The actual focus closed beta test is going to be very difficult to get into, and I'm sure they've already selected the specific people they want involved. What you're more likely to have an opportunity to be part of is the stress tests. This is where they need a wider audience and they try to cram more people into a small area to make sure their servers still run well. The one thing to note, however, is you have to have an active membership in order to be considered for the beta testing or the stress testing phase. This is a smart move, in my opinion. Honor your already paying customer base, and you're probably going to net a whole bunch of subscriptions sooner than you would have anyways for people that want to be eligible for the stress tests, but wouldn't be playing Battle for Azeroth otherwise. Now, if you have gone ahead and set yourself up with a subscription, you still do have to opt in for the Classic WoW beta test. At your account page, down at the bottom of Games and Subscriptions, you're going to go to Beta Profile Settings. At this page, if you haven't been here since May 14th, the World of Warcraft Classic will not be checked. So you need to hop in there and check that box to be considered for the testing phase. Once you've completed all that, you've done everything you can in terms of getting into stress testing or the beta testing, then you just have to sit tight and try not to go nuts waiting for Classic to launch. A couple other hot topics came up when they announced the official launch date. One is layering, and two is how are people going to get a hold of their names. On the latter first, Blizzard has decided that everyone's going to be able to create their characters 2 weeks before the launch date. That is, as long as your subscription is active at that time, you'll be able to create up to 3 characters per account for World of Warcraft Classic, thereby claiming your name. I don't quite understand how it'll work because everyone already has their names on their characters which are on the live version of World of Warcraft. But my assumption is that World of Warcraft Classic will be a completely separate database, and you will be able to duplicate your name between what your live character is and what your Classic character will be. And the other big topic is layering. There are a lot of hot button topics surrounding Classic World of Warcraft that people feel very strongly about, as they will change whether these servers truly feel like the vanilla experience. Blizzard has announced that they will allow layering during Phase 1 of the release of the Classic servers, much to many people's chagrin. Fears of people escaping PvP fights by switching layers, fears of extra layers making the world feel empty depending on the layer you are in, and the most basic complaint is that it is not Classic. That is part of the experience, fighting for mobs, struggling to get kills, racing through the initial zones when the servers open up. The good news, though, is that it's not shards. They aren't going to continue to use this feature any longer than it is necessary to make sure the servers are stable, and it is not cross-realm. So, for example, for the first 2 weeks when everyone's logging in, checking it out, and everyone's in just a few zones, the Agrimar server may have 5 layers, and all those layers will eventually funnel into the one server. As people gain levels, the population will spread out. It won't be thousands of people trying to be in Dun Morogh. Then they can dump all those layers back into the one server and have a good community without crashing the servers. It's dangerous to come down on either side of that argument right now. Understandably, people feel strongly. But in my opinion, guys, queues suck. Queues feel like a very 2004 solution to high populations. And I think even the player base is underestimating just how popular Classic WoW is going to be. The layers are a necessary evil to make sure the launch goes off smoothly, and we're just going to have to trust Blizzard to tune them correctly in terms of population and phase them out at the earliest possible date. Okay, fellow Azerothians, that is the news on Classic World of Warcraft. I have spent some time raiding on private servers in preparation for Classic WoW, shaking off some of the rust, trying to remember 14 years ago. At the same time, I'm trying not to overdo it. I want it to be a little fresh. I want to be a little green when I walk into it. So there are fun surprises. Things that I forgot will feel like the first time again. While we sit around, try to occupy ourselves over summer, and wait for World of Warcraft Classic, let me know what type of content you guys want to see. And also let me know what your strategy is. Are you playing on every fresh Classic private server that comes out? Or are you guys generally avoiding the private servers, waiting for the real thing? Myself, I was mostly a solo experience through vanilla, only got to do a couple pickup raids. And then I led a guild through the Burning Crusade, making it most of the way through Black Temple before Wrath of the Lich King came out. And then the Golden Age for my guild was in the Wrath of the Lich King era. If you want a little bit of a nostalgia trip, I am going to have a link in the cards to kind of a highlight reel from my outfit. Unfortunately, YouTube's butchered the quality, but you'll be able to fill in the gaps with your memories of those epic fights. So guys, I look forward to all your thoughts and questions down in the comments section. And I'm even more excited to see you in Azeroth come August 27th. Until next time, I will see you planetside.